Hey, deserving listeners, Love is Blind. Let's watch.
Let's do it. Here is number 2, the most unforgettable moment in Love is Blind's history.
Yeah. Is their relationship memorable? Yeah. Is the hallway... I mean, I guess if you're trying to highlight within the top 5, 2 of the successful marriages, Taylor and Garrett, and now Lauren and Cameron, I don't blame them. I have a hard time believing that people, when they listed their most memorable moments, that I'm going to take a guess and say that there wasn't a single respondent that said when Lauren and Cam met in the hallway. If anything, they would remember Cam rapping. That was maybe I'll add that to the list. Or when Cam was trying to convince Lauren's dad, from my memory, was a radio personality. Wow, it was 5 years ago, and I still remember that. Or is that even accurate? Or their wedding, did they do like a dance or something? Anyway, so I don't know. I feel like this top 5 is, but I can't know that. And I'll just say what I can know, which is that these are not the things that I would have on my list.
Oh my gosh. Cameron.
I mean, was it an epic moment? Yeah. It was the first season. It was the first time we'd ever seen anything like this. It was during the pandemic. It was a memorable time in history. It was a memorable time for me because when I watched this show and continually turned to my wife saying, "Oh no, blah, 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 blah," the things that I yammer about. And then at some point I thought, maybe I should do a reaction video. That's a thing, right? And I'd done one before, kind of, to Sopranos, so it was already kind of in my repertoire of options. And then I did it and then published it, and actually Jessica signal amped my reaction videos. It's as far as I can tell, because when I first posted my videos of reacting to season 1, they did normally. I was already basically a full-time podcaster. I had been podcasting for 10, 12 years by that point and had a lot of patrons and was getting ready to retire from the university and scale back my practice and just be a full-time podcaster. So I would have had a certain amount of views, maybe like 1,000 views on YouTube or something, which is essentially zero compared to most people. But, it was a big deal to me. And I, at first, was getting, that kind of, that maybe a little bit more than typical to that. But then there's just one day where it just skyrocketed and it never stopped. It went from something like 50 views a day. The next day it was something like, I don't know, maybe like 50,000 or something. I don't know. It was something astronomically, drastically more. And you're thinking, well, maybe the YouTube algorithm just decided to put my videos in front of everyone's faces on that random day. Because the season had aired completely by the time I even posted anything, The one thing I can point to is that Jessica from season 1 on Instagram mentioned me, maybe posted something, I can't remember, and said that she was praising me. She was like, oh my God, this guy, you should watch him. And, in the videos, I was doing my thing. I was criticizing Jessica for things, but I wasn't vitriolic the way that apparently most people are when they react or talk about reality TV. And so I think Jessica was just like, oh, thank God this guy isn't, sure, he might be critical of things, but he doesn't hate me. He's not painting me out to be some psychopathic narcissist. And so she posted it, and then, so it coincides with that. Anyway, so yeah, it was an epic moment for all of us in terms of the pandemic, for this show, like, whoa, what a great couple. This is amazing. And I guess this couple does kind of tap into the premise of Love is Blind, which is, and I'm trying to remember if there was any indication that they knew each other's ethnicity. I don't remember that. So at least in terms of the visual, it's like, would they have actually fallen in love? I actually think they would have. There was no indication that they would have been narrowly dating on Tinder or anything like that. I don't know. And I'm trying to remember if they talked at all about that. But yeah, them in the hallway and them getting married, and they're still married, is epic, just as a thing of entertainment, as a marker of the pandemic, as a marker of Netflix, their foray into reality TV. I think they already had some reality, but they really went full court press with this one, really tried to make it a good show and it became this humongous cultural thing at the time. And they were the pinnacle, right? I mean, looking at my notes, Amber and Barnett are still married, but, a lot of people, including my wife, have a problem with Amber. So the one couple that you would absolutely hold up and the one that you would insert into the top 5 most memorable moments would definitely be Lauren and Cam. Yeah, they are Love is Blind royalty, right? And, deservedly so, really. I mean, Cam and Lauren seem like really stand-up people, smart, funny, interesting. I mean, Cam, he seems like he's this lovable nerd, but, he has nuance to him. So, they're and I think they both have like millions of followers on Instagram still. So, it's an epic moment. I'll say it's a lot more memorable than what Garrett wore to the reunion.
Get ready for it.
We're all about family bonding here in Love is Blind.
I think Monica's mom should get a sock, too.
All right.
Oh, Monica's mom gets a sock. Oh, gosh. Oh!
Mr. Brown, catch that.
3, 1, 2, 3. Not bad.
It's fun. A little fun break, levity. And those were Love is Blind embroidered socks. I want a pair. Do they have other merch? I want some.
Field goals.
Speaking of games, if you've ever wondered what it's like to step into the pods, download the Love is Blind game on the Netflix Stories app and dive into the action.
I love it.
Well, guys, it is finally time to announce.
What did I just watch? I thought it was a joke. They're doing the socks thing and that cheesy ass frame there of like, they're like, oh, download the app from Netflix. You can download apps from Netflix. And how would you play this game? What did they say?
Games, if you've ever wondered what it's like to...
Okay, I got to pause. Speaking of games, and this was recorded later or earlier. This didn't happen live. They just inserted this. If you've ever wondered what it's like to step... I will say that Netflix might be trying to head into gaming more assertively because I'm a big Civilization player and have been since 1993, which is before many of you were born. And yes, we had computers back then. I still play Civilization occasionally when the mood strikes me. And also there's been various different versions. And Civilization 6 just came out. And apparently you can play Civilization 6 on your TV through Netflix, which seems excruciating to, because it's better to have a PC or at least a laptop or something. Anyway, so I wonder if this is along those lines, that it's just like, oh, we're trying to diversify and get into gaming. Okay. So they're trying to get us to play a Love is Blind app game, so it must be like you're trying to get engaged. That's not a good game because you're trying to, manipulate? That's not a message that you want to put out there. That unless it's, it wouldn't be legit falling, oh my God, I just thought of something. That because people are falling in love with AI at like the movie Her. They talked about wasn't it Taylor and Daniel, that was their favorite movie? Was it them or was it Mason? No, it was Mason and Meg. Anyway, that eventually they would have a game like a Love is Blind game and they would use AI and the idea would be that you would fall in love with if you can get the AI to fall in love with you, and if you fall in love with it, then you got to go to the next thing. Anyway, if you ever wonder what it's like to step into the pods.
Step into the pods, download the Love is Blind game on the Netflix Stories app and dive into the action.
It's funny. It's like that's all they said. It's fine. It's a game. You can have a game, trying to keep the ball rolling, and I don't think those avatars look very much like those two.
Well, guys, it is finally time to announce the most unforgettable moment of the past 5 years of Love is Blind. Be sure to head to Tadoom.com to check out the full list of the top 15
It's funny. I've never heard how you pronounce the Netflix website, Tadoom. I always thought it was like Tudum or something. And I was complaining to Stacy. They've actually interviewed me on that website. That was a brag. Sorry. But I was wondering why it would be called that, and my wife said, well, it's Tadoom, like the Netflix thing. Anyway, so, all right, we're coming up on the most iconic moments. Oh, actually, so it looks like the most iconic all the top 15. I'm not going to spoil it because they're about to give us number one. So, given that we've already been over season 1, and we've had season 7, and then we had season 6. So what would they include? I don't think they're going to do season 2. The eye drops, I think, would be a good one because it's funny and it's memorable. And also Andrew has laughed about it himself. Someone sent me that Andrew was doing like a TED Talk thing in which it wasn't an actual TED Talk, but it was kind of like that. And he was using the eye drops thing as a basis for his general thesis in a 10-minute talk. I actually watched the talk, and from my memory, it was nonsensical. but don't quote me on that. It might just be my memory. So the eye drops thing would definitely be likely. What else would be? I mean, I don't think they want to highlight season 5. They seemed that they didn't want anyone to watch that season. They've already done a season 6 with Chelsea. So yeah, I'm gonna take a so Leo and his stupid Rolex watch, or the eye drops. Let's see what happens.
most iconic moments as voted by you, the fans. But you heard it here first. Here is number 1.
When you see and realize what you missed out on.
I can get behind this. I'm thinking another Jimmy moment, but yeah, I can get behind that. This is when she was getting dumped, and he says, when you see me and realize what you missed out on, you are gonna, do people say plots? You're gonna shit your pants. You're going to choke. You're gonna need an EpiPen. Yeah, pretty epic moment. And she has laughed about this, and so has Jimmy. You know, you don't want to ridicule people.
You are going to choke. You're going to choke. You are going to need your EpiPen to open up your airways.
And it also is a moment that is very Love is Blind. It is only understandable in the context of the pods, which is, you know, a unique premise to the show. So, yeah, I can absolutely get behind that.
Hi friends. I truly never imagined that that moment was going to make its way to TV. I was audibly gasping and clutching my pearls along with the rest of the world. I really could have never imagined it would be nominated for anything or be considered as one of the most memorable moments in the history of the show. So I just want to thank everyone who voted.
And it's good to hear from her so that we know that she's not hurt by this, at least publicly. And I wouldn't be surprised. I've been accusing this list of being at least partially manufactured. You know, what Garrett wore. Now, maybe everyone was voting on that. I mean, it is recency bias, right? Because we're getting a lot of moments from recent seasons. But I've been accused. But I wouldn't be surprised if that one actually was number 1, right?
Hey, I just want to say, guys, for the record, Ben, that's the guy whose advice you took.
right, we are so excited to bring out one of our most unforgettable former participants.
All right, so there's another 10 minutes left. I'm going to watch, but it looks like they're in that light zone and they're just going to have a lot of jokes. But I do want to see the top 15 on Tudum. Let's check that out. All right, so number 15 is Leo and Brittany's awkward first meeting. Again, recency bias for the voters. I could see that being a legit thing on the list. I don't think I thought of that. I mean, what do you think of as like a memorable moment? Do you think of like, because I was trying to think of like a, like a moment, like underdog and choke, or Rolex, rather than just like an entire scene. But, I think, anyway. One of the things I think I added after I, a while back, I actually reviewed all the ones that I came up with. And one that I don't think I mentioned was the Ramses whale tail moment. I mean, people were saying that it was the belt that you wear for your transmitter, for your lapel mic, which is absolutely possible. When I rewatched it, I was having a hard time envisioning that, but, whatever. And even if it was a whale tail, who cares? Anyway, Jessica's dog drinks out of the wine glass. I think that would be a legit memory that people would vote for, and I'm pretty sure I did have that on my list as not necessarily the one that I would say. Uche and Lydia reveal that they dated before entering the pods. I did have that on my list. I suspected that they wouldn't highlight it because this season is something I think they try to distance themselves from. Cole and Zenob's cutie conversation. Yes. Yeah, actually. Ugh. That is a very memorable moment in a number of ways, which I've been over already. Deepti choosing herself at the altar. Yeah, I could see people. It's, you gotta, I was thinking about their relationship, and it's a very memorable relationship, and Shake is very memorable. So what moment do you remember? And yeah, it makes sense. I don't think I remembered that one specifically. Amy and Johnny forget and remember that condoms exist. Yeah. Okay. Eye drops, Andrew. Good. Hannah tells Nick she turned him from a boy. Yeah, absolutely. That was pretty memorable. I taught you everything you know. I turned you from a boy into a fucking man. Yeah. Zach breaks up with Irina and finally proposes to Bliss. I mean, this is a bit dubious because I have so I think the way that people voted was they just filled out their own words, right? So if you've ever done qualitative research, you understand that how do you clump things together? Because some people might have said when Zach proposed to Bliss, or when Irina said, stop looking at me, or, and so you kind of clump things together. So I'm guessing it was a part of that. Tiffany, but it was very memorable because it was so off the script. It was the first time anything like that had happened, right? Where people reconnected. They included them in the edit, which is interesting. And then they ended up getting married, and they're still married. Tiffany falls asleep. I had that on my list. Absolutely. So we've already been over it. Yeah. And let me read this Garrett post-wedding glow-up. There was no shortage of drama, at the reunion, but few details got more attention on social media than Garrett stepping up his style game. Between the season finale and reunion time, Garrett grew out his hair, I guess his hair is longer, walked at Fashion Week, and embraced patterned shirts as an integral part of his wardrobe, although many of us suspected the wifey effect. I'm not a fan of that. Taylor expressed on stage that even before they met, Garrett had a latent interest in fashion. As he put it on stage, being married to a very fashionable and beautiful woman, I finally found someone worth looking good for. Okay. I mean, looking at the rest of these, they look like legit things that people would vote for. So I'm just out of step, which is not surprising to me. Yeah. Okay. Well, fun little thing. I like it. And it's sort of in line with what I've been trying to do of just like, how else can we look at the Love is Blind seasons? And I've been doing the polls and surveys, similar to that. maybe I could even add this question to next season, to season 9, where I'll say at the end of season, name one memorable moment, you know. Then I have the annoying task of having to code and clump everything, but it would be interesting.
She's here today, and she brought him with her.
That's right. Please welcome from Love is Blind Season 6, AD. And from Love is Blind UK, Ollie.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah. I mean, the little bit that I got to know them and can recall, I could absolutely see them working. Where are they going to live? They live on very different places. AD's season was Dallas? No. Where was AD's season? What season was that? That was the last one, season 7, right? Where is it in my notes? That was season 6, and that is Charlotte. So at least that's closer to the UK, right? Yeah, essentially. So yeah, we're good. You know, good for them.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Ollie, what's happening?
How long have they been together? Whatever. But okay. Yeah. All right. Well, interesting. Cross-pollination, if you will. I wonder if watching the show, well, one, they become friends, the various different casts, you know. Jimmy reached out to Ben, right? Because they know what each other went through, that sort of thing. So that would facilitate at least friendships, that kind of thing. But also watching the show, you can watch the show and see, like, who is this Ollie guy? And he's kind of put to the test in terms of what sort of person he is. And then you watch it and think, oh, well, maybe that person. It'd be a way to do the pods without having to go.
As a strong, independent woman, but I know how much it meant to you to find the one. Do you think that Love is Blind preps you for this because you both had the common goal of wanting to find that person?
I think, yeah, definitely. I think even as early on as when we were on Perfect Match, I noticed that we were having the deeper conversations, the more important conversations.
Oh, they were on Perfect Match, which is the Netflix remnant reality TV show. Do people remember, maybe they still have it, where there's like remnant? I remember it was a big deal to go to the carpet remnant store because you could get carpet and rugs for this really cheap price because it was what was left over after installing a carpet. So, I'm not saying anything about them and their value, but there's a number of Netflix shows that the veterans, if you will go on, and so it sounds like they met there. And so, okay.
Participants from the past 5 years and from across the pond. Thank you guys, and cheers
to love.
Cheers. As we are leaving here tonight, we are going to have our very own Love is Blind Fam Jam. Miss Sandy, can you come help us out? You guys,
Everybody grab an instrument.
Love is blind. Love is music.
All the music therapists in the audience are like, yay, because this is something that they know very well. You know, grab an instrument, have some fun, and then, you go on from there.
Baby girl ready for bed. So we just wanted to say
cheers for 5 years.
And we love you guys.
Hey, Love is Blind fam.
Happy 5 years.
And thank you so much for giving me love my life.
Thanks.
Howdy!
All right, so that's the end of me watching this season. I like the fact that at the reunion they didn't bring other couples to randomly chime in with speculation or weird takes, because that usually was a waste of time. I mean, there was one moment in which Clay and Brett were talking that was touching, for sure. But I'm happy that they're, adjusting and learning from, not mistakes, but learning from what works and what doesn't work. And I will say that it was a little interesting that they ended with this song, this guy who had a song, and they filmed a music video inside what kind of looked like a set that was like the pods, or maybe it was the pods. And he had a very low voice, and it was a song. And during that, I actually downloaded the app, the game. I try to find it on my computer, but they don't allow the game on your computer. They allow it on your phone computer. And so I will play this game in a member-only video. How about that? Of which there's going to be a lot of them, because one, I'm going to play this game. Two, I'm going to look up news. And from my understanding, there's a fair amount. Some people have been sending me some TikToks or something of Ben explaining what really happened and showing the receipts of the texts between him and Sarah. And, I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt, but I'm curious about that stuff. I don't know if I'll publish everything that I watch, but I'm curious. And then I'm going to make a video for members reviewing the survey, the poll, the end of season poll that I posted, and go over, it's interesting to see like who you liked mid-season in general and how that changed for late season, because often it does, and to go over your hot takes. And also I'm going to do a final word episode, as I have been doing over the past few seasons. That's always interesting for me to do. I try to I prepare for that episode. I actually write out an outline and have a lecture, if you will. And parts of all these videos will be available for everyone. And, only if you care to. I think a lot of people aren't super interested in that stuff, which is fine. But sometimes, some pretty interesting things will happen, like with Tyler, that whole saga, right? And watching scenes of other podcasts, particularly the Nick File podcast, because they often will get into things. Anyway, so I'm done watching the show, and I'm not done with my content about this season. And but for now, it's late, and I want to play this game. And take care of yourself, because you deserve it. You really, really do.